Hello, I'm Martin Warwick. We're here at the Small Cells World Summit 2014 at Excel in London's Docklands, and I'm talking with Monica Paolini, who is president of Senza Fili Consulting, which I believe means without wires. Monica, to start with, how are telcos leveraging their existing backhaul capabilities?
Well, it turns out that actually, to some extent, they're not. In the sense that, well, they are and they're not. When you talk about small cells, the backhaul supports the same function to carry the data, but the technologies and the solutions are profoundly different from the kind of backhaul that you have at the macro level. On the small cell side, fundamentally, it's a much tougher business because you have to be cheap. You have to provide a lot of good performance. It has to be reliable, the capacity. You need to have low latency to enable coordination with the macro layer. So you have many different solutions, and operators will all tell you that they want to have fiber to every small cells, but that's not possible, and they know that very well. So there is going to be as much fiber as they can possibly have in a cost-effective way, but then there is going to be room for wireless solutions, and more than one. As far as I've heard, I've not heard any operator that says one solution will be sufficient for us. None. The question is, how many will they need, and which one will they need?
We're seeing this massive increase in data traffic globally. What new solutions are being introduced to cope with that?
So I typically don't talk much about fiber because we know exactly what it is. If it's cost effective, go ahead with it. On the wireless side, you tend to have two different types of approaches with a lot in the middle. You can go on a line of sight approach, where you tend to have, it's a little bit more difficult to install because you need to have line of sight, you need to line up the two terminals, but you have much more capacity and there is much more spectrum. Or you can go sub-6 gigahertz, where you can have more flexibility because it's a point-to-multipoint, you don't have to align. It's oftentimes lower cost equipment, but has less capacity. Where do you go? It's a trade-off. And depending on where you are, you might use one or the other. Even within the same network, within the same area, you might use a combination of the two. It's work in progress. We're all learning to see what works where, or what works where better.
And how can backhaul be used to increase speed and reliability to wireless customers?
Well, one important thing is to make sure that the backhaul supports coordination between the macro layer and the small cell layer. And this is not true everywhere. So if the operator uses a different frequency for macro and small cell layers, they have much more flexibility because they can manage the two independently. If they use the same frequency, you're bound to have interference, and you need to manage it. And you're going to be much more effective at managing the interference between small cell and macro cell if you have a backhaul that supports low latency, or if you have a cloud run type of topology. So that, I think, it's a crucial dimension to consider when you pick a different backhaul option. How is that going to be conducive to manage interference appropriately?
What do you think are the specific backhaul needs of small cells, and do you think that Wi-Fi can ever be a practical solution?
I am the strongest supporter of Wi-Fi. I love it as a technology, but to use it for backhaul, you might have to do it in some environments, but it's really not ideal. You may still use the same band that Wi-Fi uses, but really Wi-Fi, the strength of Wi-Fi is that it's interoperable, anybody can use it. You know, you come in with a brand new Wi-Fi device and you're guaranteed it works. For backhaul, it's a very different situation because you control the 2 points. So you can optimize the performance by controlling them both. So you don't need interoperability, so you can actually get a better performance. You don't really need Wi-Fi. Even if you use 5 gigahertz, you might do a point-to-point. So I don't see any compelling reason to have Wi-Fi. Said that, some operators might want to use it. A lot of operators are pretty nervous about using unlicensed for backhaul anyway. Although in some cases they might have to, because if they don't have spectrum and they need to do some, if they need to do non-line of sight and they don't have licensed spectrum that they can use for backhaul, well, there is no choice. But in that case, they might use a technology that is not Wi-Fi.
Monica Paolini, thank you.
My pleasure.